Can Bill Boniface and his son Kevin help an aging champion get back to the winner's circle? John Boniface leads his nieces and nephews and a group of young thoroughbreds toward the first performance of their lives.
Correct. Voice command.
And as foaling season ends, Billy faces a life and death emergency. He's got only seconds to keep the farm's most valuable foal from suffocating.
You lose a lot of foals this way.
In the Maryland Million Turf. Wind Sox and Trump Mahal turn for home.
When God made him, he threw away the mold. There won't be another Wind Sox.
Wind Sox has pulled it off wire to wire.
Oh, he's unbelievable. I mean, he absolutely has to be on the rail and in front. I mean, that's his game. If he doesn't get his game, he doesn't try.
There's Wind Sox out where he likes to be.
He's got this white eye. When you say a horse has a white eye, they're usually a bit on the mean side.
Wind Sox, Trump Mahal on the outside. Can Trump Mahal triumph again? Wind Sox has something to say about that. They can't take the win out of Wind Sox. Wind Sox wins it again by 2 lengths. Brothers Angel was second in Mythical Deity.
He's become like a good friend, and you know, if something ever happened to him, it would be just like losing a friend.
For almost a decade, Kevin Boniface has devoted himself to a cantankerous racehorse named Wind Sox. Born and raised here, he's one of the top thoroughbreds that owner and head trainer Bill Boniface and his son Kevin, the assistant trainer, have ever had. But this season, Wind Sox is facing the toughest challenge of his life. At age 9, he's getting old for a racehorse. Most don't compete past 5. To make matters worse, he injured his ankle last spring, so he hasn't raced for almost a year.
Towards the top, it's not as bad as it is towards the bottom, but it looks good through there. And I have the exact angles from back that time. You can't even see the problem at all there.
But now, after so much time off, Kevin and his father face an enormous challenge to get Wind Sox ready to race again. The goal is to run him in the prestigious Maryland Million, coming up in the fall. Wind Sox has won twice before, competing against the best horses in the state. Kevin takes the lead in Wind Sox's comeback bid. He's determined to help his old pal any way he can.
He's 9 years old now. When they're 9, they're tougher to bring back because he's had so much time off that he's going to have to lose a lot of weight and get that conditioning back. It's going to be a difficult thing to do because we're going to have to push him to it.
Older horses are more prone to injury, so the Bonifaces will use every known precaution during training. If they detect the slightest falter in his gait, that will be it. They'll retire him.
Well, Wind Sox is an old man. It's a big question mark. And we will not bring him back and race him if he can't race in the caliber where he should. He wants to come back, you know. He wants to be a racehorse. He's not happy out in the field. You know, when we give him time off and said you're not going to train anymore, he doesn't like that. However, when he works, he can feel it.
Kevin spent more time with Wind Sox than anyone. He doesn't leave his admiration for the horse at the barn. He and his wife, Chris, have devoted a lot of wall space in their house to Wind Sox.
Chris wouldn't let me put them all up here. I wanted to put Wind Sox all the way across. Of course, he wanted enough races where we could add them all the way across, but this was the Sussex and the Fine, the Mongo, and the Maryland Million race. That was his first stakes win over here in the corner. The announcer who loved him called him old white faces hanging tough, old white faces hanging tough. And Wind Sox just went to the front and just smoked him. Over here, behind us here, we got a picture of Wind Sox. The very next year, he comes back and he does it again, old white face. I'll never forget that they came into the winner's circle like that, and I was so proud of him. And he walked across the back, and I just stayed away from the picture, and I just looked at him, and just how happy he makes people. It was really a special day. I mean, he's one of a kind. And even so much that we put him on the, people have kids on their refrigerator. We got wind socks and Carmani.
Armenian wind socks.
There's my face.
To help his old comrade make a comeback, Kevin will try to give him every advantage. He's called in acupuncturist Meredith Snader. Acupuncture has become more and more accepted in the thoroughbred world. Meredith, a former veterinarian, has helped hundreds of horses gain a winning edge with alternative therapies. She'll try to help ease the stiffness and soreness that comes with getting back in shape when you've got a few extra years on you.
His back will start to show up with problems. You know, a lot of times you can't, what's the cause and what's the result, you know, and right now, you know, I think his worst problem is his left ankle.
She might also be able to detect any hidden problems windsocks might have.
Okay, now I'm just examining windsocks, and he's going along farther in his training now, so he might be getting a little bit sore, and you can see he is. And the reaction that I'm getting at these points just tell me what types of things. For instance, this point down here tells me that his ankle's bothering him a little bit. These are, as I said, just diagnostic points that tell me. I'm getting a similar reaction on this side.
The needle boosts the flow of anti-inflammatory substances to windsocks' joints.
And this is one of the most important points in the horse. This is a point where all the meridians flow through this particular point, so it has an effect on the whole entire body. And in people, this point's located on our head, and the horse the hind end. So you know where they think from.
They also release chemicals called endorphins that seem to relax him.
For him to tolerate what goes on with those needles going on into him and everything, it's a sign that it's okay with him. And that when she puts the first needle in, sometimes they're a bit anxious, but it has a sedative effect to the horse. So they'll kind of quiet down when you start the needles into them. So I think it must have a very good feeling throughout the whole body.
And windsocks look forward to this, I think.
See it pulsating.
See it pulsating there. Okay. And this is an electrostimulator. It's just, you can attach these directly to the acupuncture needles, and it just is another way to stimulate some of the points. And the intensity just a little bit stronger, and I like to use it for the feet. But you could also use it on the body as well.
Feet are good too?
Feet are good, everything's perfect.
I think it's helped her.
Windsocks is more limber after acupuncture, but his ankles are still tender, so Kevin and Bill remain cautious, though they are about to begin to train him harder on the road back to the Maryland Million. Next, Billy Boniface races the clock to save the life of the farm's most valuable foal. For 5 exhausting months, Billy Boniface has been up late, night after night, delivering baby thoroughbreds. Foaling season is finally winding down, but Billy's vigil isn't over yet. Tonight, he's facing one of his most serious situations this year, with a mare named Northern Sting. She's having a red bag birth. Her foal is trapped in the placenta.
Red bag means that the placenta separates before the foal is born, and it means that the foal needs to be delivered very quickly because it's not getting any oxygen. The umbilicus has already been broken.
Northern Sting has already produced several top-ranked racehorses. This foal is the farm's most valuable of the season. It's worth $250,000. But if Billy can't get the baby out within a few minutes, it could suffocate. It's a boy. He takes his first few breaths, and his life begins.
a lucky colt. You lose a lot of foals that are lost this way.
As for Northern Sting, she needs a little medication and a lot of rest, but she'll be fine.
Amicar to help with any bleeding.
You're a clever girl, aren't you?
Clever girl. See, she hadn't even broken her water. She's doing it now. The value really increases the pressure, but I feel good because, I mean, 5 minutes later, this might not have been a live foal. You know, that's why you gotta watch them like a hawk. But you can't watch them like a hawk because you gotta let them be by themselves also. And I mean, she was playing the game with us the whole afternoon, you know. Please leave me alone, but please come help me, you know. Hello. You have the prettiest muzzle. Yes, you do. Yes, we do.
After 38 deliveries, foaling season is almost over. There are only 2 more to go. Billy is more than ready for a break.
Tired of foaling season, so I'm ready for it to be over. You know, it's just, I get used to doing it, and I am used to doing it because I've been doing it all my life. The biggest thing is I have family. Like tonight, they're gone off, and of course, Dad has to stay home because he has to be here. But it's important for me to have, you know, the foals born healthy. And, you know, because things happen so fast. If I wasn't there and something happened, I'd feel terrible.
Northern Sting and her foal will spend the next months together in Bonita's fields and pastures. Her baby will have a year to grow strong and fast before he even begins his training as a racehorse. Only then will Bonita Farm know if their $250,000 foal was a good bet. After 6 weeks of light training, Windsox is ready to try to take his first major step back to the racetrack. He'll run full out today for the first time in a year. Kevin's wife, Chris, saddles him. One of Bonita's most expert exercise riders, known as Shorty, takes the reins. If Windsox can run 3/8 of a mile in less than 40 seconds, Bill and Kevin will keep him in training. But at his age, if Windsox shows any signs of soreness, even a tiny hobble, he'll never race again.
Look where you're going, not where you've been, old man.
Steady. Steady.
As he gains speed, Windsox shows his old form.
25 and 3. Easy, old man. Oh, easy switching that lead. Easy, old man. Windsox, Windsox. You just can't take the win out of Windsox. 39 flat.
Not so bad, Kevin.
It was a strong workout. Kevin is delighted.
I thought Windsox's work was just what we wanted for his first work back. But if he did it faster, he's liable to be a little more kinky coming out the stall the next day, hurting a little bit more. And if he did it any slower, we might have had to do it all over again. The time was just what we wanted. He looked comfortable. He's hitting on all 4 legs perfectly, showing no pain.
But it's a long way from a good run on a practice track to the winner's circle at the Maryland Million, especially for a 9-year-old horse. Next, John helps the youngest Bonifaces and some baby horses to grow up. In the yearling barn, a rite of passage is beginning for some of the younger Bonifaces and a group of year-old Thoroughbreds. John Boniface will take them through their paces.
Give yourself a little room. Don't get too close to the horse in front of you because all you're going to want to do is play.
In 3 weeks, they'll be heading to the Timonium Yearling Show, a century-old tradition among Maryland horse people. The main prize is a trophy awarded to the young horse judged the best yearling in the state, based on build, breeding, and looks. It's a great compliment to horse and horsemen.
And all the old timers, they love to take their yearlings down there to try to win the show, win that class. A lot of well-respected horsemen have showed horses in there. Just keep walking forward. They just keep going forward. They're listening to you now.
John and his brothers, Billy and Kevin, all showed horses at Timonium when they were growing up. It's part of the Maryland horseman's legacy that John is passing on. So far, the young horses have spent their lives playing in the pasture. This will be their first taste of training. They won't be ridden in the show, but they will have to follow their handler's lead in the ring.
You teach them how to stop when you stop, walk when you walk, and that just consists of teaching them. It's a habit they'll just learn by just doing it, and just using a little voice command. Same time you do it.
The Timonium show is about more than training the horses. It's also an opportunity for John to begin to teach the Boniface kids the family business.
This is what we were trying to simulate. And the more room you leave in between the horse next to you, the better off you'll be. Facing down next to the horse in front of you, straight into the wall. Correct. Voice command. All right, fall to your left and let's take them home. It's good enough for today. Meet them in the middle. They're getting a little tired. Never been had to do anything like this before.
It's a hot and humid summer's day. After the morning session, the horses are about to get the first baths of their lives. Adult horses love their baths, but the young ones aren't so sure. Growing up includes a trip to the beauty parlor for a first haircut.
Just a detangle, yeah, detangler.
Getting a first pair of shoes is the next big moment. And another big adjustment.
You have to be very gentle with them. You can't fight them because you don't want to get them scared. You don't want it to have a bad experience, you know. It's a lot easier if you take more time with them. They're going to be a little feisty. They're like teenagers, I guess. They're little kids, you know. They got to try you. But they learn.
Some learn the easy way, some learn the hard way. But eventually, they'll all grow up. The babies are looking sleek and polished as the kids and John take them through their final practice rounds before the show. Next, will Kevin and Bill be able to put the wind back in Windsocks? Windsocks has been running easily and well on Bonita's training track, prepping for the Maryland Million. But one day, there's a problem.
Looks like $1 million through the stretch. And he goes to pull up, and he goes, ouch, ouch, ouch. And, he was pretty lame.
Kevin and Bill reluctantly face the fact about Windsocks. He won't be able to race anymore.
We did all the things to help him get there, and he just didn't make it. I mean, he got almost there, but it just wouldn't be fair to him to try to compete with other horses.
It's time. It's always a matter of judgment, but in his case particularly, I usually feel better to be safe than sorry. And, say you go one more work or you go ahead and run the horse and he breaks down, well, then you'd feel you've really done the wrong thing.
Oh, it's very sad. It's very sad. I mean, he's looked horses in the eye and ended their racing careers, and it's just, that comes along very, very seldom. And that's what's so special about him.
Kevin will not forget his old pal, though. Windsox will have plenty of time to enjoy the peace and freedom of Bonita's pastures. And he will still spend time with the Boniface boy who watched him win all those years.
Windsox is going to be my riding horse. We love him so much, he's going to stay right here. And he'll die here and he'll be buried probably behind my house with my other favorite horses of all time. He'll be fun with me because I know all his little quirks and I'll have fun with him. He'll have a good life.
Brothers Angel making a run to the outside, claiming second. Windsox in front, yards to go. They can't take the win out of Windsox. Windsox wins it again.
Next time on Thoroughbred, John and the kids run into a few wild moments at the yearling show. Bill and Kevin put a group of new arrivals through their first training. And the farm's best filly has an operation that puts her racing career in jeopardy. At Bonita Farm, a novice thoroughbred has a dangerously close call.
I worry about that Charlie might have hurt himself.
When you're ready.
A winning filly attempts to battle back after a major setback.
She's the potential of a top 3-year-old filly of the country, and we want her to be able to operate 100%.
And John leads the family as they show off 12 of their most impressive yearlings. At Maryland's Bonita Farm, there are some new faces in the training barn. 12 2-year-old thoroughbreds are starting their first day of training to become racehorses. In a year of mixed results, the Boniface family is counting on them to start winning at the track.
One behind the other, we're going to be fine.
Assistant trainer Kevin Boniface concentrates on the basics first. Young horses are willful, not used to being told what to do.
It's important over the next couple days that we go forward with them, because if you don't go fast enough forward, you'll stifle them a little bit, because they're used to being turned out and being able to run around the field and do whatever they want to.
Steering too, huh? Carry on, soldier.
The 2-year-olds will work on a narrow track inside the barn for about a week before they graduate to the outside training track. Head trainer Bill Boniface joins his son Kevin to help spot the best of the bunch.
We got 8 of my 2-year-olds making their first breeze today.
When untested 2-year-olds begin training, anything seems possible. If just one of them delivers, it could help recapture Bonita Farm's winning record.
The ones that jump right into the bridle are the ones that, will excite you. But I like to see the ones that are fluid in doing it and they just are doing everything they're told to do. I like to see the one that when the man pushes the button go, they go.
One of the 2-year-olds Kevin's excited about is a beautiful chestnut named Charlie Irish.
He's got pedigree, and he's a good-looking individual. I like the fact that he has a long stride. He seems to respond to the rider.
But Charlie isn't perfect. He's a very nervous horse.
I think Charlie is running a little scared right now, and I don't really like that. And he's trying to respond to so much stimuli at one time. It's hard for him to put his mind on doing exactly what the rider wants to do and going ahead and running. But, he's got some ability. I mean, he shows it in the clock.
12 and 3. Come on up there to it.
Almost all thoroughbreds are temperamental. The trainer's challenge is to channel the horse's nerves into high power on the racetrack. But before a thoroughbred can race, it has to be certified to break from the starting gate. And that means the horse has to conquer its natural fear of being confined in a small space, surrounded by commotion. When the doors of the gate fly open at the start of a race, it's critical that horses react instantly. Staying calm but focused in those final moments is key.
Keep your heads up. Watch you don't try to drop your head.
At Bonita Farm, teaching this lesson to 2-year-olds is one of the most important stages of training. Kevin eases them into it, first getting them comfortable, just standing in the farm's practice gate.
We'll take them back to the gate and just take them in there and stand until they're relaxed and they're standing on all 4 legs. The horse breaks best when they're standing on all 4 legs and they're not thinking about anything but just standing there, because when those